Toronto Ultra, what are we gonna do this offseason? What are we gonna do? Let's go through it, break it down. I mean, this is one of those teams where they're never at the bottom, they're never quite at the top. You know, they're closing in at the top side of the bracket and everything, but they never quite get past the finish line. Well, in Black Ops 6 anyway. So today we're going to go through and I'm going to give my thoughts on what I think they could do this offseason. Let's go through, starting off with, of course, the roster. We have big Benjamin Beans on the left with Kleenex, Insight, and that boy Joe Deceives. Overall, again, solid roster. All four of them individually very talented players, and you know they're definitely going to deserve their spot in the league. That's not an issue. However, together this year, I just don't think it's what they wanted. So let's go through it. We got the Black Ops 6 year here, okay? Before we do that, I'm actually going to take a little bit of a look down history, because what we can do is we can look at this organization as a whole and see what they're expecting and where they're looking at, okay? The reason this is very important, because, you know, if we're looking at someone like FaZe or someone like Boston, they're going to have different expectations, okay? So Cold War, you could just see, bar that, you know, that major one, they had first, second, and third, and a third, okay? So this type of org, I think that this is where they're looking to be, in that top 3 consistently, okay? So this was kind of a really good year. They got 1 win, then we go forward, we go up and up and up. And then Vanguard, you can see, wasn't a great year for them. As you can see, a lot more inconsistencies, right? So you can see, again, they got rid of that, but the duo, Kleenex Insight's still there. So once again, you see, they got the 3rd and then 5th night, just not a great year in Vanguard. Then we go up and we have a fairly good year in Modern Warfare 2, okay? Obviously with Scrappy being there. Once again, you see the trio. Okay, you see the trio Kleenex, Insight, and Scrap, and then they end up changing it. They change Standy, and they bring in Hixie, okay? They go first, second. Again, you can see they got a 1, they got a 2nd place, they got a 4th, 5th. It's not terrible, but once again, you see where the org's going. Why? Because they got rid of Hixie, even though they finished 2nd, and they bring in Envoy. And then just off the break, they get a win, 4th, 2nd, 4th, 3rd, 5th. Once again, though, with 1 win in the year, it's not amazing for them. Then we get rid of Scrappy, and here we are now. So what I would look at this and say is, last year, they got a 2nd and a 1st. This year, they didn't really break into the grand finals. Now, for me, looking at Toronto, if I was an org owner looking at this, even in Modern Warfare 2, we got a win in 2nd. I think the floor is obviously a problem, right? The good thing I will say is our floor. So we have a team. Our team floor is never really below 5th place, besides real anomalies, right? We're not really getting below 5th place, which is really good. But what we want to do now is we want to start chasing more 1st and 2nd places. Of course, you want 1st places, but we'll take a grand final, right? That's kind of the point of this. So what we need to do now is look at this team and really analyze this year and say, you know what? Our floor was 5th, but we got 3 3rd places. So we need to do something to get over the line. Now, for me, this is where I think it's been a long time coming, but I personally, I like Insight. I do. I don't think he's undroppable, though. I personally would go on the board of dropping Insight. I really would. I really would. Now, it's not necessarily just the KD thing. I don't want people to look at just the KD. I think KDs don't tell the whole story, but just overall, when you look at this team's win condition, okay, I'm going to look at a map in specific. I don't remember what map it was. It was at this champs. I think it was the first map they played. Let me have a look. I really want to go through. So they obviously finished 6th, which is again just not great. So they lost 3-0 to Ultra, sorry, to Optic, and then they lost 3-0 to Surge. So even there, the biggest event of the year, just having that kind of winning one series against Ravens and then getting bounced without winning a map, I personally think there's going to be a change. I really do. So I want to go to this series right here. I want to go to this series right here because this is... Oh, will it let me do it? Damn, that's actually Aura, bro. Look at that player cards right there. That's Aura. I want to find that series right there. If I can go to matches, there was something that I saw in this first match. So I just want to go through it. It's very important. There you go. Okay. So I want you to look at the map 1. Just the map 1. Okay. The way they played is their win condition. This is kind of what they like to do, the way they like to set up, okay? What they like to have is they have a Slayer like Joe, okay, taking over 1.5. So Slay. This is just the map 1, the hard point. Slaying. If they can get this guy to go neutral, but he's going to do all the dirty work in terms of the spawns and the hill, right? So they kind of naturally like to have in their best. And the reason I use this example is because this is a map that they prepped for, in terms of they were prepping for this Raven series for a while, and map 1 went as good as it could have went. And for me, you could just see that's what it meant for them. For them to have a good map like that is 3 Slayers and then Insight kind of filling in the gaps. Now, this works against teams you're more, I would say, you're better than, right? So their win condition against teams they're better than works. And it works for most of the league. It works for 5-6 teams in the league. But where the problems happen are these 2 games. When you look at Vancouver and Optic, the teams that are either your level or better. Let's go through the first map, because that was an absolute disgrace, okay? One of their best maps as well. And we go across. And once again, this is where, for me, I have a big issue is Insight, just not only did he have a bad event, it's just the fact that they do well when the other 3 are slaying, right? Now, for me, having that as a win condition is not good against the top teams. You're always going to lose somewhere. So I personally think that they should be looking at replacing Insight, in my opinion. Because even just, again, forget just this series. Just like, overall, like, look at this series, like 0.55. Definitely not good enough. We go through the Toronto series again, and you look through, and guess what? Once again, 0.82, 45 kills. So this one, you see Joe struggled as well, right? 48 kills. And the point is, unless they're going to get all 3 players popping off, sorry, Kleenex and Joe, unless they're going to get all of them popping off, like Insight consistently having the lowest kind of kills and damage and stuff in the series, in my opinion anyways, it puts way too much pressure on the team. Way too much pressure. I just think that the way they play fundamentally causes more issues for the team, in my opinion. So what I want to do now is, again, I like Insight, but I'm going to go through my opinion, okay? I think Joe and Kleenex have been so good as a duo. Their pacing at times have been the best in the league. As an SMG duo, I think they've actually been super good to watch. I just feel like when I look at SMG duos, I don't think there's many better than these 2. Like, as an actual duo, you have, you know, Simp and Abizi, okay? We're going to go Simp and Abizi, Hydra and Envoy, and then you have Hook and Shotzi, right? Let's just put Joe and Kleenex like that. Maybe would say 04 and Nep. Okay. When I look at these duos, Kleenex and Joe, like pure duos, right? They can compete with these duos, in my opinion. Like, I don't look at these like they're clearly bottom. They may, like, you know, at times at their best, like, for example, we saw Hook and Shotzi this weekend was better, but like, there's been weekends and majors where these 2 are like top 2, top 3 duos. Joe's been arguably player of the season at times. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've had times where they have been the best. That's why I really want to keep them together. So for me, I think the SMG duo is fine. Then we look at the ARs, okay? Now, with Beans himself, I really think Beans is essentially like, he plays like Scrap, right? What I would say is, with the difference between Beans and Scrap is Scrap kind of played like this, right? Where his ceiling was there and his floor was there. Where with Beans, I would say Beans is kind of like this. So his floor is a bit lower than Scrap and his ceiling was a bit lower, right? So when I look at the 2 players, what I'm seeing is Scrap just had a higher floor and a little bit of a higher ceiling, where Beans has a slightly lower ceiling than him, but a much lower floor. But there's times where you see Beans kind of have a bad event, right? So for me, especially with the inconsistency with Beans, I definitely just think if you can upgrade Insight here, because the thing with Insight as well is Insight will have like this, right? And the problem is it worked with Scrap and Insight because Scrap's floor was here. So with Scrap and Insight, you're always getting Scrap there, which allowed Insight's job to be a bit easier. I hope this makes sense, a little graphic, right? But with Beans, because Beans sometimes plays around this level, they're not winning the series then, because Insight might play here. So you have a big problem there with consistency with the ARs. So I think if you get a replacement for Insight, you actually make Beans' job a bit easier and allow him to play better. Perfect example, if we actually look at it, I know Optic's a bit of a weird team this year of what we saw, right? But if we actually look at Optic Texas itself, Dashi, such a good event, right? As soon as Mercules comes in, Dashi plays 10 times better. So again, it's one of those where you look at Dashi for the season, really poor season, really poor. If we look at Major 3, etc., right? Really poor season. But we go forward, you actually say, you know what? It should have a really good event. And I think having Mercules just makes him play better. Let's look at Dashi himself, just Dashi, okay? What an event here, bro. What an event. Phenomenal stuff, okay? Let's go to Major 3 now. You see, like, he just struggled a bit. Now, he was actually probably the best player, him and Hook, but he still struggled a lot in these series. Like, look at this one, Major 2, barely going positive in any of these games, losing 3-0, lost 18 maps in a row. This is where they went for a really bad stage. And again, I'm just saying, like, you look at a player at their best as well when you're building a team. And for me, I just want to use Dashi as an example because he's such a good player to show you that sometimes the systems do make an effect, right? And what I want to say is in this scenario, I think if we can replace Beans, if we can keep Beans and get him playing good, we replace Insight, I think we're in a good spot. Now, the players I had in mind when I'm looking at this kind of scenario, and I really think if I'm Toronto, bro, and I want to commit to this low-key, I'm doing this before EWC. Because I don't know if this is going to be a one roster change in the offseason. I think it might be. And if it is, I think we go for it now, bro. I really, really do. And for me, I need a more consistent Slayer. I just need someone more, not even a Slayer. I need someone that's more consistent, that could just give more output, give more pacing on the map, and I think just kind of correct the pacing. The biggest benefit Mercury's brought to this Optic team was pacing. This guy brought so much pacing to this team. If I'm looking at this right now, I really, really want to see some more pacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through, and there's about 2 players that I think could really, really stand out for me right now, okay? The first player I would look at, where is he? The first player I would look at, I want to go to him. I'm not saying there's a lot of good players here, but realistic players. Okay, bro, they have so many old players here. It's actually crazy. Anyways, the first player I wanted to look for, the player I would like to bring in, if I was this Toronto Ultra team, my number 1 pick right now would be... this is kind of awkward. I can't find him. I'm going to do it right here. Ready? Kenny. Now, not a good year for Mr. Kenny, but sometimes... this is when you get them. This is when you get them. When they've had a shit year. When they've had a year that's not to their standard. And you have a world-class player. A man that's won 2 fucking rings before. The man that knows how to win. That could lead this younger team of slayers. Absolute slayers. Yeah? You know what I'm saying? This is the man we bring. This is the man we bring in. You bring in Kenny. And now, okay? Now what we have is we have slayers across the board. And guess what we have? A perfect flex, okay? What I would say right now, if you're Kenny, you're walking into a situation that is basically an upgraded rocker, okay? Let's use this, for example, Kenny. Instead of Joe Deceives, what he has currently, right? Who have Nero, okay? This is their current roster, Nero. And then Kenny will be there. We'll say Estriel. Yep, and Geo. Okay? What you have now is the best version of Estriel, because Estriel's a very good player, but Kleenex is just like, he's been doing it for so long at such a high level. This guy's been like a top 5 sub, right, in the CDL. He's been unbelievable. So we have an upgrade there. We have a phenomenal sub. Perfect. Nero, again, good player. Joe this year, unbelievable. Maybe top 4 SMG this year. I think he was in a second all-star team. Like, he played very, 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 very good, okay? Then you have Beans and Geo. I would actually say very similar in terms of, like, how good they could be. So you could kind of take either one there, right? Whatever. So when you look at this, it's just a bit of an upgrade in terms of player for player. Same actual system. You have 3 good, talented young players that you could teach, go through, and win the games. And I believe if they get Kenny in, I think they could have a decent showing at EWC. And I'm just thinking, like, I just think there has to be a personnel switch here. This year, once again, didn't go the way they wanted. If they're comfortable being, you know, a 3 to 5 team, sure, it's not a bad spot. If they want to get some wins in, some championships in, I think they bring in someone like Kenny, who's got a shit ton of experience and is a leader, right? So you're leaving Insight, you're losing, with Insight, you're losing that leadership and, you know, kind of like extra bit of like that role, right? The out of game stuff, the leadership stuff. But with Kenny, you're getting that but better. And again, you're kind of banking on him having a more of a comeback here, which I think he will have in this system, in this team. So for me, this is the man that you bring in. You bring in Kenny. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree? I would love to know down below. And I'll catch you guys for another video later on today. Peace.